The Supreme Court just decided to totally bypass our Second Amendment rights on two huge cases. But the sky may not be falling like many of us think, and New Jersey may play a huge role in restoring those rights. Let's get to it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you did not already know, my name is Jay Costa, and I am just a red-blooded American patriot living behind enemy lines, some would say, here in the great state of New Jersey. So if you get value after watching this video, please smash that like button down below and also consider subscribing, because we are building a tight-knit community here of like-minded individuals who are looking to fight for, protect, and defend our Second Amendment rights here in the great state of New Jersey, as well as other blue states like it. So if that interests you, if that hit a chord, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can stay up to date on our weekly videos. And in this video, we've got some frustrating news coming out of the Supreme Court, because on June 2nd, 2025, the Supreme Court denied certiorari, I don't even know how to say that, or cert for short, let's just call it, in two massive Second Amendment cases, both Snope versus Brown and Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island. That's right, our right to keep and bear arms just got sidestepped yet again. But why? Is it this percolation excuse, or is the court dodging the fight? Stick around, because this affects every gun owner in America, and I'm going to tell you how the fight may have just shifted to our own great state of New Jersey. So first, let's go over what actually happened and what these cases are. So let's start with Snope versus Brown. Snope versus Brown is a case that challenged Maryland's ban on so-called assault weapons, you know, the AR-15s, other semi-automatic rifles that millions of Americans own for self-defense, among other reasons. Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island is a case that took on Rhode Island's ban on standard capacity magazines, which is mags holding more than 10 rounds, okay? So these are obviously essential, as we know, for effective self-defense and as well as, you know, freedom. Both cases were relisted 15 times since the beginning of this year, January 2025. That's 15 chances for the Supreme Court to step up and clarify our Second Amendment rights after both the Heller and Bruen decisions. But on June 2nd, they said, nah, we're good. The court's order list dropped and both petitions were denied. Justices Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch dissented, saying they would have taken the cases. Justice Kavanaugh wrote a statement basically admitting Maryland's ban is questionable, but said the court needs more time for, quote, percolation. So what the hell is percolation, and why does it matter? I am no lawyer, but a recent article on news2a.com by our good friend Joe Laporto, who I recently had on for a podcast. If you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description box down below, as well as up in the corner. I trust Joe with many of these issues. Joe explains that Justice Kavanaugh wants more circuit courts to weigh in on these bans to create a clear split in rulings. Why? Because the Supreme Court loves a clean conflict to settle, making it easy for them. Right now, courts like the Fourth Circuit are upholding these bans, twisting Heller and Bruen to justify it. Kavanaugh is basically saying, let's wait for more courts to disagree. But here's the kicker. Justice Thomas called BS, right? In his dissent, he said waiting for percolation is pointless when lower courts are blatantly ignoring Supreme Court precedent. He's saying if we let this slide for any other right, we'd be all over it. And he's right. Imagine if free speech or voting rights were being trampled like this. The court wouldn't wait for percolation, so why is the Second Amendment always the ugly duckling, let's call it, when it comes to Supreme Court rulings? This is something we've been dealing with for quite a long time, decades. Now, Ocean State Tactical was always a tougher sell as a case. The case was in what's called interlocutory posture, which is fancy lawyer talk for not final. It was an appeal from a denial of a preliminary injunction, not a full ruling. Joe Laporto's article says if the lower court's denial stood, the case was basically dead. So the strategy was to piggyback on Snope and hope for a GVR, which is where the court sends it back for reconsideration. But with Snope denied, Ocean State Tactical case got left in the dust. Still, 3 justices wanted to take it, showing this issue is far from settled. So where do we go from here, and why is New Jersey going to be so crucial? Well, the News2A article points to some hope. Other cases, specifically 2 here in New Jersey, ANJRPC and Cheeseman, are moving through the circuits and could force the court's hand, meaning Supreme Court. Kavanaugh mentioned these cases specifically, among others, hinting that they might take up a case in the next term or 2, which would start in October of 2025 into 2026. there is real potential for both consolidated ANJRPC and Cheeseman cases to force the Supreme Court's hand, as my good friend Joe Laporto says. The Third Circuit is set to hear oral arguments for both starting on June 30th, and it is my understanding that the Third Circuit, which is based in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, is much more favorable in judge composition as well as precedent than when compared to other cases that Kavanaugh brought up in places like Maryland, California, and Illinois. Joe states that these two New Jersey cases could finally be the one or two that the Supreme Court ends up taking on, and the timeline fits up just perfectly. Now, I've seen some commentary by my fellow New Jersey Second Amendment advocates on Facebook and on X claiming the Supreme Court of the United States betrayed the Constitution. Another person said the Supreme Court is spineless. The frustration is real, and I feel it too, I get it. But as you can see here, it is very important to have perspective and context, especially when trying to figure out what is going on in legal matters in court cases as a non-attorney, which I certainly am, and you guys, many of you are as well. So look, the Supreme Court may have punted on this, but we're not done, and the fight is probably just beginning. So here's what you could do. Number one, stay informed. Follow channels like mine and sites like the aforementioned news2a.com for updates on that ANJRPC case, the Cheeseman case, as well as other 2A cases. Number two, support Second Amendment groups. Start with the New Jersey Firearm Owners Syndicate, which is the largest grassroots New Jersey Second Amendment organization. Other organizations like the ANJRPC, the CNJFO, and the Gun Owners of America are fighting these battles in court for us. So donate or join or both. Number three, you need to get loud. Share this video, comment below. Let's keep the pressure on. The Second Amendment isn't just a right, it's a duty, especially in an election year, which we are in this year. And that brings me to my next point. Vote pro Second Amendment. With a massive election for governor, as well as other major assembly seats up for grabs here in New Jersey, now is as good a time as ever to be loud and be bold for our Second Amendment rights. It isn't just enough anymore to be a Second Amendment supporter. You have to be a Second Amendment advocate. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. What do you think about this? Is the Supreme Court of the United States dodging this issue, or is percolation a legit excuse or reason why they didn't take it on right now? Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more Second Amendment updates here in our great state of New Jersey. Let's keep fighting for liberty, shall not be infringed. Also, if you would like one of these sick Behind Enemy Lines t-shirts, I'll put a link to those in the description box down below where you can check them out. I have them in t-shirts as well as sweaters as well. I appreciate it as always for tuning in, and I will see you next time.